take it out of sport mode, take it out of sport suspension, turn the sport exhaust off, which doesn't do jack on a GT3, and we're just gonna cruise, just comfortable, nice and gentle. Let's get into 4th gear, and you're just driving to the beach. All right, this is a car I've been excited to get behind the wheel of this whole time, which I'm glad that he brought it here to give me a chance to drive it. But this is 911 GT3 Touring, which would be a contender as a daily driver for some crazies like us. If you had the means and you had the resources, this to me is the ultimate. So tell me a little bit about what's going on here with these.
So these are the bucket seats with CXX customization. And
CXX is the custom department for Porsche.
Porsche exclusive. Any option that's a special request has the code CXX, and so that's what we call any of those things. These seats are the full custom seats, and I opted for the black silver houndstooth inserts, piping in Olympic blue, and a special request I asked for was the headrests to have the Touring script logo embroidered on them instead of the Porsche crest embossed, which is standard.
And then we have the Touring has black, anthracite black. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, anthracite black door sills. It comes with dark black brushed aluminum interior trim.
But I just put my fingerprint on there instead of carbon.
Right, and it comes with black on black stitching. And everything that would normally be Alcantara on the interior is in black leather instead, except for the headliner, which is still Alcantara.
So the Touring, so the center console is black leather standard as part of the Touring. That's not part of something you opted special.
That's right. And the door cards, the door panels
Yep.
are all leather instead of Alcantara. The shift boots leather, the steering wheel's leather.
Can you opt for Alcantara if you want it?
No, actually you can't unless you do it as a CXX custom option, which starts to get into crazy money if you wanted to start changing all of them.
And then standard trim is the whatever you call it, nickel.
The Touring comes in 2 different exterior packages. The standard Touring is with chrome or gloss aluminum trim all around, and so you have gloss trim on the windows. You have chrome on
and the squirter fingers. Yeah.
The Porsche logo on the back is in chrome.
The wheels, this is just a regular option silver, right?
This is the standard silver,
Standard
which
painted
is
silver,
kind of a glossy silver.
Yeah.
You can opt for Touring package in black, in which case the Porsche logo, the trim around the windows, the headlight squirters would all be black if you did that.
So you have that option, and
they also give you the option of the same wheel choices as you could get on a regular.
What about the center locks? Those are different too. They don't say GT3. Right. Okay, last one. Theoretically, last car, 911 Touring, paint to sample in Mexico blue. So this is the experiment. I was just in a GT4. Now the experiment is driving the Touring. You know, would this be the daily driver? Such a nice place to be. It's been a while since I've had a leather steering wheel. I always find myself on these manual cars putting the seat up a little higher. The big question here, and there's no reason to have the windows down in this because we have a stock exhaust, which would be very practical, right? So do you buy this in a manual? Well, it feels really odd because the last 2 cars I've been in had a angled seat. So they had the angled seat adjustment. And now I feel like I'm sitting all far forward. So I've been following Nate. Let's put the, just hit the exhaust, so leave it in sport exhaust. But I've been following him in the Touring all weekend, or half the weekend. I like this more, or GT4 more. Auto rev match, even stock, these sound so good. You put a simple bypass. So, you know, if I had one of these as my daily driving car, I would have a much simpler exhaust. I'd do something like either just a side muffler delete or a bypass. I wouldn't do some crazy catless thing like I have on my RS. And again, I would just keep it simple. And then driving around like crazy. But you spend 150 grand or 170 grand to do that. And am I ever baller enough to be able to pull that off? And is this different enough from the RS to be practical to own both? But we have the great, you know, 4-liter 991.2. If you haven't seen my driving of the manual .2, same car. This is just, you know, it doesn't have the wing, so a wingless. But same motor, same transmission, same pretty much everything. But you know, this being a paint to sample car. There's 830 miles on this thing. It smells brand new. Thank you guys. Now I can drive. I don't know, I swear to you, I can feel that the wing is not there. just kidding, you can't. Subconsciously, I can tell the wing isn't there. This feels more like just an amazing, like the best possible variant of a you know, a 911 that isn't a GT3, although it is a GT3. Oh, there goes my car. But it just feels, man, could you imagine having one of these as your everyday car? I think that the new 4-liter motor in this thing, it's just more refined. It's more everydayable, I think, than the 9A1, the previous variant, the previous generation. This Cup-inspired car, you know, 4-liter motor. The little, you know, just the way it delivers torque is a little bit more practical. Just a tiny bit, very, very subtle. But if you live in a really boring town like I do without roads like this, you know, you throw the manual in the mix. You get rid of the, you know, if you're a more subdued dude and you don't want all the attention that the RS gets. Now, again, you do a crazy color like this and it brings just as much attention, but you do that, and then you have, you know, a multi, you know, Jekyll and Hyde type car that then you can come to the mountains and do this in it and decimate these roads. But then have an amazing car that you can just cruise around town in and still have fun, because you have the manual. But I will say, you know, I think the gearing, I think the ratios are better in this car. But I think the feel, the clutch feel, the way, you know, the engagement, the transmission, you know, the mechanical feel of the gear changes are better in the GT4. But I do like the gearing of this much more. You know, what RPM range I'm at. What RPM range I'm at based on, you know, what. So whatever RPM range I'm at is more. It just makes more sense. The gearing makes more sense to me as I'm driving here. Man, this car is fantastic. After driving all these, I'm half tempted to go jump in my RS and do the same run. I think I'm going to do that. Man, I love this thing. having the manual makes it so, like, the PDK is fantastic, and it's as close to a manual as you can get without having a manual. But there's just something about being in control, even though I'm not heel towing, because I'm not any good at it. In fact, can't really do it. The auto rev match, just the engagement I'm getting from having this and the clutch pedal makes it an amazing experience. And this is way faster than the GT4. The GT4 feels like I'm going faster, but yeah, we're definitely moving at a greater clip in this than we are in the GT4, and much easier. This would be magnificent, just driving around town in this thing, and then being able to, again, I probably wouldn't get just because of how much of a pain in the rear is to get in and out of them. I wouldn't want the sport buckets. Now, if it was my only car, then my only sports car, then yeah, sport buckets for sure. But is this worth $80,000, $90,000 more than a GT4? And I like this better, but I don't think so. Dare I say, I would even leave the exhaust alone. I don't mess with it. Keep it clean and refined, and I wouldn't lower the front end. I would just rock this sucker stock. Let's see how long that lasted, though. Axle lift up. Rev matches down into first gear just like normal. Before anybody comes, let's just go. This new 4-liter motor, right up my alley, man. It's a modern marvel. And then we get a manual option. Porsche is just awesome. Let's go down to fourth gear. Let's just take like a nice leisurely stroll through the park here. Let's see how this does. Nice and smooth. Back to third gear. Nice, smooth, comfortable car that does this. And does it get any better than that? I don't know. Now we can come down into third and fourth gear and just mosey along behind this pickup truck. See how this does. Take it out of sport mode, take it out of sport suspension, turn the sport exhaust off, which doesn't do jack on a GT3, and we're just gonna cruise, just comfortable, nice and gentle. Let's get into fourth gear, and you're just driving to the beach. See if we can find a radio station.
Dusty tractor, can't miss it. It's the first thing that you see.
Now it's Bose, but at least it's audible. I can't barely even hear it on mine. So we gotta go. Back to regular. Sport. So we did enough moseying. Back to work. It's just amazing how much these motors like being in that 7,000 to 8,000 RPM range, 6,000 to 8,000, 6,000 to 9,000. It's just so comfortable there. It makes you feel like you could just sit there and hold the revs there. Like you don't. I've had other cars where it feels like you just beat it to death. But this one, all of these cars. There's this 4th to 3rd to 2nd. Just awesome. Brakes are so good. Yeah, I mean, if you had the means. Again, I'm not willing to give up my RS for any of these cars. Even the GT2, I'm still not willing. The only thing I give up my RS for would be a new .2 2018 RS. But to have a touring and to complement, just to fly under the radar, wingless, I'm all about it. At these speeds, at 40 to 80 miles an hour, we're not noticing a wing or no wing. So 911 Touring over GT4, money no object. Answer, yes. And the idea it's growing on me to have some crazy color, since you have a more muted car. And I tend to do the opposite most things in life, and so I would stick with, I do crazy color on more subdued car, and then more boring color on crazy car like the RS. That's more my style. It's kind of nice to not have some crazy exhaust, just to hear the rawness, the pureness of this motor. It's kind of, it's not too bad. I mean, I wouldn't last very long with that, because it's just who I am. Exhausts are just my thing. But I'll tell you what, it would be nice to keep a stock, but yet have the violence of the the 4-liter GT3 motor in the behind you when you needed it. That's pretty darn cool. Be interesting to see what happens with the values of these. Oh, there goes Ryan's car again. It's a great experience. Let's try rev matching manually. Oh yeah, easy. So you go 4th gear. So if we can take it off the sport, it won't auto rev match, right? And so let's put it back in 4th gear when we're cruising. Go down to 3rd. I mean, in 2 seconds. Let's do a 2nd. Oops. So back to 3rd. Nope, still missed it. Going a little fast. 3rd. Really easy to manage. Didn't do so great on the upshift there, but versus you go back to sport mode, and then if I'm going to downshift to 2nd, it does it for me. Perfection. Perfect rev match. So I wonder how much I would, again, when I had rev match, even my F80 M3, I used it all the time. I loved it. Notice how there hasn't been a single car. I'm like, I don't really like that. Yeah, the GT2 RS is hard to like even have an opinion. It's just not. It's not really in the cards. One, you can't buy it. Two, I couldn't afford it. And then I think I still prefer the analogness of non-turbo. But this is definitely I think a windows up, comfortable axle lift up, comfortable machine. So what do? Do you do RS? I'm sorry, do you do GT4 or do you do Touring? But this new motor just, there's combined with, so new motor combined with the manual transmission, there's no crunchiness. That's what it is. The PDK tuning in the new RS, it's lacking the crunchiness. And then the manual, we don't have the, you don't have that. There's a noise that's made when you're coming to idle in a PDK car. But yeah, this is fantastic. Just like everything else that I've driven this weekend. Just amazing. I'll tell you what, it is kind of nice to have a backup camera. So that's a 911 Touring. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. So what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, to the floor, to the floor.